Good morning, everybody. It's the 20th of March, and this morning I'd like to do the G10 FX cloud chart market review. We're going to look at the G10 currency pairs from a daily and weekly Ichimoku cloud chart perspective. There's the usual disclaimer. And these are the currency pairs that we'll be covering in this morning's analysis. Right, jumping right into the Pro Real-Time platform, starting off with the Australian US dollar. We can see, let me just load a better chart here, slightly more data. We now had a successful rebound from the top end of the cloud support zone. These levels here at the top end of the cloud at 74.69 and 75.19 turned out to be quite nice rebound support levels. We're now testing old highs here, the old highs of November last year, coming into play here at, watch these levels at 777 and 77.75. So we could see a reversal at these levels. Then if resistance holds, we should see a reversal back down to the top end of the cloud for support here. Okay, turning to the weekly cloud, we can see these 77, 78 zones, as well as 78.52 is really significant resistance areas. So we're closer to resistance, and we had a successful rebound from cloud chart support. So I'll be looking at some profit, taking some profit off the table in and around these resistance levels. But I'll be watching very closely to see what the price action's like when it gets to these levels, and to retest these levels to see if we're going to get a breakout past these particular levels or not. But we're closer to resistance now and closer to profit-taking areas than we are at rebound opportunities. Okay. The Euro US dollar. Yeah, we've had a successful rebound from old cloud chart support levels below the cloud. Then it rebounded past cloud chart resistance, rebounded from cloud chart support within the cloud, and we're now back up testing the old highs of 107 and 108. These are the old cloud chart resistance zones. So we need to see a significant breakout past these 07, 08 zones for me to be particularly interesting to remain long. So I'll be looking at some profit taking some profit off the table since the MACD buy signal below the cloud here. The cloud is now still a significant support zone, but it's range bound, so it's not a particularly nice market to trade from a cloud chart perspective because it's somewhat sideways moving, trading within two trading ranges. Okay, if we look at the weekly one, we can see collapse through the bottom end of the cloud here. The front end of the cloud still indicates that we have a long-term downtrend in place, and we have these short-term relief rallies which deliver potential rebound potential. Watch out for the January lows here at 103, 104. Those are significant support areas, with the highs here at 107 and 108, with significant highs here at the bottom end of the cloud. That's the seriously long-term resistance zones. It's somewhat in a sideways trading pattern with price action below the cloud. So from a long-term perspective, it is overall negative. GDP, US dollar, sterling, flip-flopping in around this 124. I call it kind of somewhat of a support pivot. It corresponds well with the front end of the cloud here, significant support zone. We drop below and then we rebound from 120, and then we get to 128, 127, and then resistance come back into play. So it's kind of range bound. You need to look at shorter term time frames to trade this one particularly. But the overall long-term picture is still bearish. Price action is below the cloud, so we are stuck in a very long-term downtrend from an Ichimoku cloud chart perspective. The cloud here at the bottom end of the cloud here is the significant resistance area, so potential rebounds will be met with resistance when we get to the bottom end of the cloud here. If we go to the daily chart, you can see the cloud's flatlining, so there's not a particularly strong trend in place. We look at the ADX indicator, it's below 20 here, so it's a very weak trend, sideways flip-flopping in and around this 124 cloud pivot, so to speak. We are now testing the resistance here at the top end of the cloud with bottom in the cloud of support. So we had a nice little rebound here when old cloud chart support levels came into play at 121.26, rebounded from there, fighting the resistance at the bottom in the cloud. If resistance holds, we're going to go back down to retest these lows of 12229 zone. So watching sterling very closely to see if it can maintain momentum to break past these cloud chart levels at the top end of the cloud. New Zealand US dollar, also a situation where we rebounded from old cloud chart support levels, old lows, and we now have a rally back up to the bottom end of the cloud where we can see significant resistance coming back into play. Okay. US dollar CAD rebounding from the top end of the cloud, potential upside just for a 50% retracement of this big move down. We can look at this cloud chart, old cloud chart highs at 134 as a key resistance zones for this particular rebound. But note, we've had a MACD sell signal, so we are kind of slightly in this consolidation mode with support at the bottom end of the cloud, resistance at halfway up this move, the top end of the cloud there. So we should see some short-term trading there. Yeah, weekly cloud gives you a very, very nice indication as to where this rally can last up to 135.76. That can be the next key resistance zone to come into play. 133 here and the bottom end of the cloud here is support. So from a weekly cloud chart perspective, rebound potential back up to the top end of the cloud here. And we can see that from the daily chart as well, that we can see this 50% retracement to come into play back up to this old cloud chart resistance zone. Okay. US dollar Swiss franc collapsed through the bottom end of the cloud, rebounded from old cloud chart support levels here at 99.46, and potential rebound back up to the bottom end of the cloud to test resistance there to see if it's going to manage to get through the cloud. But watch out, we've had a MACD sell signal, so price action is below the cloud, so we do somewhat have a downtrend in place on the US dollar Swiss franc here. We look at the daily, the weekly. Let's go to the weekly quickly. Downside potential here, you can see this level here at 98.84. It's a significant support zone at the top end of the cloud. So if this downside, this consolidation lasts back down to that level, I would be revisiting to see what the rebound potential is at 98.88 for the US dollar Swiss franc. Okay. US dollar Danish krone. Also in consolidation move after hitting resistance at the old highs. We're now drifting lower towards the top end of the cloud chart support zones. Also looking at these lows here at 6.872. And this low here, this cloud chart level that comes from that top end cloud level here, supported 6.822. These are kind of key support zones that it can test in the current trend. If we look at the daily one, price action is below the cloud. That's overall negative. We can see the clouds rolling over, front end of the cloud indicating a new downtrend is in place. And we are testing these old cloud chart support levels. So we could see a short-term rebound back up to the bottom end of the cloud, and then it continue the overall downtrend to hit these multitude of old cloud chart support levels to the downside. But note, we've had a MACD sell signal in and around this top end of the cloud chart support failure. And so we are looking at more downside in the US dollar Danish krone. US dollar Japanese yen, we collapsed through the bottom end of the cloud. We're now on our way to test support at old lows here. Watch out for these old lows here for potential support. Front end of the cloud support of 113 did not hold, so we're looking at these areas of 112 and 1111 as key rebound potential, and then the rebound can last back up to the bottom end of the cloud where we can see new resistance coming into play there. So these are overall, all in all, levels to watch for a potential rebound there at old cloud chart support levels and old lows. Weekly cloud chart give an indication as to where those levels are at 111 and 112, spot 2. These are the levels to watch for a potential rebound in the US dollar yen. But note here, we still have a weekly cloud chart sell signal. So if these levels do not hold, we're going to go much, much further deeper into the cloud looking for support. But these are the first levels that we'll be watching in this current coming week. Okay, US dollar Norwegian krone. Very, very critical level, trying to find support at the top end of the cloud here. Weekly cloud, that's a significant level to watch. Resistance is so far holding up. Will be interesting to see if it's going to be able to break past this level this current week. We're looking at the daily. Very, very interesting. It's fighting for support at this cloud chart level, looking for a potential rebound from that area. Note, we've had a MACD sell signal, so it's going to be interesting to see if the sell signal is going to have a follow through towards the downside. And if that happens, then we have downside for risk towards the bottom end of the cloud just for support, as well as these old highs here as the first level of support to be tested. But absolutely a critical week this week to see if we can have a rebound or a support failure at the top end of the cloud here. Watching very closely here. But we note that MACD sell signal, that adds to the risk, potential downside risk. US dollar Swedish krona has collapsed through the bottom end of the cloud here. It's currently in free fall towards the old lows here. And if we look at the weekly cloud chart to see where these support levels are, we can note here at 8.70, 8.37. It's testing that area now. The next level are these old highs here and these lows here. So watch out for that lows, the next key support area. And funny enough, it corresponds very well with 8.676 support zone within the bottom end of the cloud. And that's where this current rally, the downside rally, can run into a key support zone. So watch out these levels for this downside rally correction, so to speak, not rally correction, could last back down to 8.6720 zone. Watch out the MACD sell signal on the weekly chart remain valid. So we are at a critical juncture here, where we are looking for support here. We are looking for old lows to come in as support, but the front end of the cloud, we are price actions below the cloud, so that's overall very negative. But certainly from the major currency pair, the euro, closer to resistance, need a breakout past that level. Sterling is also at resistance at the top end of the cloud, so it's a critical week to see if sterling and the euro is going to be able to maintain the momentum to the upside to break past these key cloud chart levels and consolidate after that for further moves higher. But watch out, we're looking for a reversal at resistance at the cloud chart level, or we're going to see a follow through of this current momentum to the upside. Okay, until next time, happy trading.